Mr. Speaker, it was dusk when he left Thailand and entered Laotian airspace. Soon he was flying into North Vietnam as darkness came over the horizon. It was his 25th mission into North Vietnam, flying an F-4 Phantom jet. The date was April the 16th, 1966. The pilot was Sam Johnson, United States Air Force colonel, and he was doing his second tour of duty in Vietnam. He was flying with the 433rd Fighter Squadron called Satan's Angels. He was a career pilot who had already flown 62 combat missions during the Korean War, flying an F-86 Sabre jet. Colonel Johnson also flew with the famed Air Force Thunderbirds. This is a photograph of Colonel Sam Johnson, United States Air Force. But this day of April the 16th, 1966, Colonel Johnson was shot down by ground fire by the North Vietnamese. He was captured. He was put in a prisoner of war camp. And, Mr. Speaker, he was in that POW camp for 7 years. Because of the way that he would not give in to the torture and to the interrogation, they moved him to the famous Hanoi Hilton and a place called Alcatraz. Alcatraz was where 11 POWs were put because they were the most obstinate POWs, leaders of the other POWs, and they were hard-nosed, and they had to be segregated, and they called themselves the Alcatraz Gang. They were defiant, and the North Vietnamese called this man right here Die Hard. They tortured him, but they got no information from him. And during those 7 years, he was beaten, tortured, but he never broke down. So then they put him in solitary confinement for 4 years in a cell 3 foot wide by 9 foot. And he was there for 4 years. During that 4 years, all that was in that cell was a light bulb that they kept on 24 hours a day. During the nighttime, they put him into leg irons. And during that 4 years, he never saw or talked to another American. While in the POW camp, he and the other POWs communicated with each other with a code by tapping on the wall. And during that time, he memorized the names of 374 other POWs. And he kept that memory going so that when he got away or was released or to tell their loved ones who they were and where they were. The tortures continued every day. One example was this. One morning, the North Vietnamese took him out of his cell, lined him up to shoot him. They told him they were going to kill him in a firing squad. They lined him up. They armed with AK-47s, pulled the trigger, but no ammunition in those AK-47s. Laughed and made fun of Colonel Sam, and all he said was, "Is that the best you can do?" For food, he ate weeds, pig fat, rice, went down from 200 pounds to 120 pounds, and after 7 years of confinement, he was finally released with other POWs. He suffered torture and broken bones during that time that he still suffers today. He continued to serve in the United States Air Force for 29 total years. While he was in that POW camp, his wife back home in Texas, Shirley, had known that he was shot down, but she didn't know for 2 years where Sam was, whether he was alive, dead, or missing in action. They've now been married for 60 years. After he left the United States Air Force, he served in the State House in Texas, had his own business, and then in 1991, he came and served with distinction here in the United States Congress. Today, Colonel Sam celebrates his 80th anniversary. Down the street, he and a lot of friends, members of Congress from both sides of the aisle and family, are honoring him for his birthday. You know, Sam returned home to the United States after his torture and confinement in the POW camps. You notice right here, this patch, Mr. Speaker, you see what this patch says, which is from the 433rd or the 31st Fighter Wing. It says, "Return with honor." Sam Johnson returned to America with honor. He is a special breed. He's the American breed. Where does America find such men as Sam Johnson? He is one of those. And he's that special warrior during even the time he was a captive warrior that never forsake his duty and never forsake his honor. So, Colonel Sam, we thank you for your service to the United States of America. During war and during peacetime, thank you for serving this great country. You are truly a hero among us. And that's just the way it is. I yield back.